There's something that makes exploitation schlock movies so memorable. The hyper-exaggerated violence, and they're so often awful, they're worth watching. The same goes for video games, and though Soldier of Fortune may be classified as one, it isn't a bad game at all. It's actually really good. The setup is that you play as John Mullins, an agent for the counter-terrorism organisation called The Shop, who, along with his friend Hawk, is trying to locate some missing nukes before they're used. It's not long before you get involved with a mysterious paramilitary group called The Order. Why is it that everyone wants to be called The Order these days? It's ridiculous stuff, but none of it interferes with the gameplay, and you can largely ignore it or skip the cutscenes if you're so inclined. Anyhow, it's not long before you realise that, Jesus Christ, this is one violent game! Even by today's standards, heads, torsos, legs, arms, they all go flying off with a mere sneeze, or at least with a close-range buckshot round. The whole game is over the top, but I'd like to believe it wasn't just the gore factor that got so much attention and praise, which was probably the case. The shooting mechanics are rock solid, and you have a nice arsenal of weapons across the game, which will usually feel bog standard, but with good sound, modelling, and of course, gore. Each weapon feels like a welcome addition. They do seem to get crazier as the game proceeds, so having a flamethrower or a fast-firing autocannon paired with a 9mm pistol can feel a bit out of place. The levels are quite varied: a slaughterhouse, a freight train, an office complex, though the textures look pretty muddy and dated, giving some areas a sense of repetition. Luckily, because the game follows a globe-trotting progression, you'll be constantly getting a different vibe in the different locales you visit, be it the different music, the overall atmosphere, or that the enemies will speak the appropriate dialect. Though it might be a touch unrealistic having an underground missile base in Sudan or fighting heavily armoured missile troops in an Iraqi marketplace. Only a touch. What is surprisingly advanced and progressive is how equipment is managed. Though you can't select missions, when you begin them you're allowed to select what weapons you want to bring in. Though it doesn't make any profound differences if there's no ammo available for them, but just being able to is a cool feature. The biggest problem with Soldier of Fortune is its extreme content. It's not as bad as, say, Postal, but you do go to a New York ghetto and kill a bunch of white supremacist skinheads, so there's that. If you're touchy about how politically correct your game is, then this is not for you. It's loud, it's maybe not quite proud, and a lot of fun still. Though I find it interesting for all the violence, there's no swearing to be found. But if you're okay with killing huge amounts of bad guys in primarily third world countries, then this is probably the game for you. For some reason, Soldier of Fortune is not available on Good Old Games or Steam, so yeah, you know what to do.